First of all, I will be talking about scaling organizations, not agile. That's the main difference. I mean, in comparison to the previous speaker. Second of all, I will be giving a by example talk about a company which develops its own product, not a software house. It also makes a difference. I hope you will understand why. Anyway, yeah, our story is about Scaled Agile Framework. First question, who am I? My name is Tomek. I'm an engineering team lead in a Swedish company called Seamless Payments. From time to time, as a hobby, I'm also an IT coach at Sages, and I'm from Łódź. Okay, so a word about Seamless. That's a Swedish company with headquarters in Stockholm and software engineering department in Łódź. We are in Łódź, we develop the most strategic product in our company, which is Secure, the mobile wallet. It's not in Poland, so we didn't have a chance to check it most probably. Anyway, we are questioning the way payments are done nowadays. We bypass the credit card and debit card infrastructure, also known as old ways, and integrate directly with bank accounts. This means that our solution is cheaper for merchants or shops, whatever you name them, which in turn is cheaper for customers. Another thing we do is we also question the security model which is at the moment. When you go to the shop, you pay, you need to verify yourself in front of the cashier, right? You have to enter the PIN, you have to, I don't know, put a signature on a receipt, and you are verified. We inverted the security. It is you who verify the point of sale. If you want to know more about this, I'm happy to describe it after the speech. Anyway, what we did, we were the first company which made a countrywide deployment of mobile payment system in the world, according to our data. We don't have any other data which contradicts that. Last year, we were given a best mobile money deployment in Europe, which is a kind of recognition to our work. We're happy with that, but yeah, let's go further. So how it all began. As I told you, in 2 years ago, more than 2 years ago, we did a first deployment in Sweden. Yeah, back then we were 50 people. It appeared to be a success. We as a company and our investors said, hey, let's go to other countries. So new ideas pop up. Some countries were on the radar. We said, yeah, why not to do it? And this is where the war began. The war in terms of war stories as a part of the title of my speech. Because sales department, it was ready for rolling out to that many countries. Marketing department was ready. We as a software engineering, we weren't ready. Why is that? First of all, releases. It took us a month. Nowadays, if a release takes a month, you cannot run business. Second of all, we as a software engineering department, we were unable to, on one hand, develop new functionalities. On the other hand, be able to enter in other markets. Third of all, typical approach to the problem, hire more people, create more Scrum teams. The funny thing was that actually, the more people there were, the less velocity we had and the less things we delivered, which was quite astonishing for us initially. And fourth of all, sorry, product management. They also had problems in prioritizing stuff and managing them in time and syncing all the dependencies. Yeah. But anyway, without describing for the time being how we managed to do it eventually, we started throughout the last 2 years to enter those markets. So Finland, Romania, Belgium, Portugal. And suddenly we realized that we could enter also all the countries in Eurozone, which added a bit more flavor to the way we work. Nowadays, or at the moment, there's 200 people of us, so we grew like 4 times within 2 years. Also, there is the other big target. We are entering US with our product. And still, I didn't tell you how. I will tell it a bit later. But I would like to make an analogy about the situation in which we were during the last 2 years. So, anyone likes mountaineering? Okay, a few people. Anyway, if you want to climb Mount Everest, you cannot do it like just go straight up, summit the mountain, and then just go down. Usually you have to do it in steps. So usually you reach the base camp, then you go farther to Camp 1, Camp 2, and so on. With Mount Everest, if you want to go from southeast side, you have to go through Khumbu Icefall. That's the route between base camp and Camp 1. And that's the most dangerous route when going to the summit. Nothing near the summit itself, the first part of your route from the base camp. Why is that? It is an icefall. Icefall consists of seracs, ice blocks, and the problem with them is that, first of all, these ice blocks, they move during the day because of the exposure to the sun. Second of all, there are crevasses, like, I don't know, 50 meters deep, and there are avalanches. And last year, for instance, several people, I mean, it was more than 10 people died because of an avalanche. Sad story. And why the heck am I telling you about mountaineering? Because there's some analogy. We were able to reach the base camp with Scrum up to the first release, I mean, first rollout to Sweden. And it was perfectly fine. There was like, 50 of us in the company, everything was fine, until we realized that we need to enter in other countries. And Scrum was okay. And please remember, this is like, base camp is located at 5,500 meters. It's extremely high, and we are happy with Scrum, how it worked back then. And when we started thinking about rolling out to other countries, the natural consequence was, hey, let's start doing like Scrum of Scrums as a cure to our problems. We did. And as I told you before, yeah, we couldn't scale in a sense that more people meant more problems to us, and being actually slower than we originally thought we could be. If we continue that direction, so trying to be like, Scrum of Scrums to the nth power, we would fail, for sure. So how to get to Camp 1? Of course, my presentation is about Scaled Agile Framework, which is like, yeah, as I mentioned, it's scaling the organization, not agile in general. We chose SAFe. Later on, I'll tell why. But anyway, the reason I'm talking about this and the time I spent on describing Khumbu Icefall is that if there is a book by about crossing the chasm by Jeffrey Moore, and this is about product and about failures of innovative companies that took place in the past. What's the deal about this? Let's take a look. Your product has a life cycle. It starts with innovation part. Your customers at the early phase are called early adopters until they become an early majority. So as soon as, for instance, young people will start recommending your app or whatever you have to their, I don't know, siblings, friends, grandparents, you will be then in the early majority phase. But most of the companies went bankrupt beforehand. And we were facing the same reality. So we were using Scrum as a way to, approach of developing whole software. Up to this, as I mentioned, to rolling out to Sweden. Then in 2013, we were on the edge of the chasm. And almost everyone in the company felt that if we don't do a change, which at the moment we didn't know what we should do, we'll go bankrupt. Then we are trying to find a solution which will help us to go on the other side of the chasm. It's happening now. As you may probably know, running a business is nothing certain. We are at the phase of transforming. we are feeling comfortable and more secure or more confident. And I will tell you why SAFe, which is Scaled Agile Framework. Well, the story is pretty funny because it was just a consultant we hired, and he convinced us that that should be the tool which may probably help us. This guy was Mikkel Lundgren from Sweden. He helped Spotify grow from like also 50 people to several hundred people. That's how we chose SAFe, Scaled Agile Framework. That's why I'm here. If we chose less, then most probably I'll be giving a speech about less. I don't know. Anyway, this is a diagram about Scaled Agile Framework. And the problem I have with this diagram is that it's extremely complicated. If you think about Scrum, one of the descriptions I like about Scrum is that it's very easy to understand and extremely hard to implement. So what can you say about a framework which is hard to understand? Yeah. Okay. So let me simplify this for you. Actually, you can divide the whole framework into 3 layers: portfolio layer, program layer, and team layer. Portfolio layer is like strategical layer for the company. Program layer is the tactical layer for the company. And team layer is where I'm the IT guy, so this is where the work happens or takes place. I won't be describing all that layers precisely, just basic stuff. Portfolio. This is where the most strategic decisions for the company take place. So which product we should develop, which markets should we enter, which features should we launch. This is where it takes place. In parallel with technical tasks. Because obviously you cannot just think about new features without taking care about technical stuff. Eventually, these 2 topics, they end up in one place, which is portfolio backlog. These are ideas from Lean world, of course, which are prioritized. And they go down to the program layer, where product management takes items from the backlog. They're called epics, by the way. And for each such an epic, they create a vision, they create a roadmap, and they put it on the program backlog. And it's not hard to guess that one item from this program backlog is being taken by team or teams, depending on the complexity, where Scrum takes place. So that is why I say that, or said in the description of my speech, that actually Scrum and SAFe, they are not in contradiction. They are complementary. SAFe is more about your organization, your approach to strategy of your product in this case, but it's complicated, in my opinion. Okay, but this is not the whole truth. SAFe is planned to work for big organizations like corporations. I have no experience in this field, but I can tell about my company, or company I work in. We are, as I mentioned, 200 people. And we actually didn't need this portfolio layer that much because we have one major product or one strategic product in which our investors believe and give money for. So bigger change, which is maybe not that visible on this chart with describing SAFe, is that there's lots of lean concepts. And we also were taking advantage of those. Yeah, the arrows indicate the flow of stream of value in the company that goes from strategic level for tactical and team. Now let's focus on these parts which we introduced on our own, and just as to be, because we believe in lean and agile approach. And we have 2 custom solutions. One is called Tetris Board, the other Capacity Matrix. What is Tetris Board? Different colors stand for different epics being realized by teams. So for instance, you can see yellow colors. This means that several, maybe on the left-hand side you can see the teams, like mercury, platinum, dynamite, copper, carbon, whatever. On top you can see timeline. So because we are a pretty innovative business, things change so fast, so we plan up to 2 months ahead, but make serious planning, like, you know, that everything is planned, we now have the task, we know how to work, is for the 2 or 4 weeks ahead. And for instance, Mercury team is working on the yellow epic and green epic in parallel with, for instance, Iron team and Secure Services team. For instance, Platinum have no work to do in the next 2 weeks. That's visualization. That's synchronization between teams. And maybe you recall this slide. Does anyone recall it? Yes, we do. That's Mary from yesterday, Mary Poppendick, talking about getting teams to work together. And this was her analogy using platoons in the army. And here, these are the most important sentences, and actually this is exactly what we realized or implemented with our Tetris board. There is collaborative planning between teams, there is situational awareness of what's happening, and there is adaptation to make sure that company reaches the end. Why is that? Let me get back. I didn't mention that no one assigns tasks to the teams. It is teams who go to the product backlog, take stuff, and start working on it. So it is them taking the tasks. They collaboratively plan how they should do it and what they should do it. And this spreadsheet, it's on Google Docs, by the way, is available to everyone in the company. So every team member, every team has access to what's happening. Even CEO checks what's happening just for, like, you know, because he's interested. So that's the typical Lean concept there is, which was like described yesterday by Mary. Anyway, second tool, capacity metrics. Teams indicate what they are working on, but this can be, of course, seen on Tetris board as well. But they say if they can make it on time. Green rectangle means that given team, which is, as a column, is able to meet given, like for instance, feature complete will be met on time. Red rectangle means that problem indicates, team indicates, hey, I got a problem. We have a problem which we cannot manage on our own. What does this mean? This is an indicator for the management. That, hey, we should help this team. Or actually, this team asks for help. I don't know if you see the mindset change which happens. It is management helping teams when they need this. This is a pull system, not a push system. Management doesn't monitor the teams, doesn't go to the teams and ask, hey, how it's going. It is teams saying that either we are fine or we have problems we cannot cope on our own. Pull system. Okay. So that's the overview of SAFe. The other change we had to make, maybe you could deduce it already from my speech, is the way we organized our work. Previously, we had like different backlogs, like one from marketing, one from sales. There was a layer of product owners who were choosing what should be done in which priorities and assigned this to teams. Do you see any problem with this solution? Anyone? Okay. So, what would happen if there is a backlog to which product owners commit items and teams take items from that backlog? Do you see a change? Okay. First of all, before I describe what the change is, we recognized, or we realized that more teams could work in such a model. What's the deal? The deal is that's the difference between push system and pull system. Another lean concept. It is team taking tasks from the backlog, and this is product owners putting items to the backlog, but not interfering on what should be done by whom. Teams take it. Teams have Tetris Board where they sync themselves, see what's happening, what are the time dependencies. Having a capacity matrix when they indicate if they will make it on time or not, if they need help from management, where the role of management is to help teams and not check how they are working. This is scalable solution. I don't know if it's the best, but for sure allows to do more work with the same number of people. Okay. And as the last thing, according to me, it's a poorly addressed problem in Scaled Agile Framework, which is change management. How to transform organization from the place it is at the moment to the new way of working. Yeah, I mean, SAFe doesn't tell much about this. Maybe that's done on purpose. Maybe organizations are so different that it's hard to find a common denominator. I don't know. This is usually where consultants or coaches go into action. We were lucky enough because everyone in the company realized that if we continue to work the way we worked up to 2012, we wouldn't make it. I mean, yeah. The expectations that were ahead of us, we just couldn't meet them. This helped to make the change because there were no resistance or minor resistance. Usually, when you want to make a change, there's lots of talk on this conference about moving from waterfall to Scrum or to Agile. There's lots of groups of interest which resist the change, like managers or project managers, which lose their, they feel that they are losing their influence, authority, status, whatever. Here, everyone knew that we need a change, which really make it easy to make the transformation. Also, management of the company was mature enough to admit that, hey, we cannot work this way anymore. So in our case, I would say we are pretty successful in making the transformation. We are satisfied with it. We see that we are flying over the chasm. We don't know what the future is. No one knows. Yeah, but this is how it's, this is, you know, this is how we run business nowadays, right? Okay. That was all. Thanks for your attention.